Hey you guys, welcome to Paper Clipping. I'm your host, Noelle Hyman. Every day you have professionally designed items that are coming into your house absolutely free, and it's made by high-paid designers. I'm talking about that stuff that comes in from the mail and from the store that corporations are spending millions of dollars to have made to look really good and to send specific messages. Yeah, I'm talking about that stuff that usually goes into our trash cans, but we're gonna learn how to make that stuff work really hard for us and for our scrapbooking. Today I'm gonna share with you the items that I've been collecting most recently to turn into scrapbooking supplies. I'll show you how I move that through my scrapbook supply organization and workflow to become stuff for my layouts. We're gonna look at layouts that I've done in the past where I've used past stuff, and then we're gonna look at my current stuff and turn them into scrapbooking items that I can use now. Let's go ahead and get started for today's episode of Paper Clipping. Here's some of the everyday stuff that I've been collecting recently that I'm excited to put on scrapbook pages and mini book pages, and we'll just go through everything that I've got right now here. This is a product tag. It's a lotus flower. It's a nice thick tag. It came with this ribbon on it, and that was on a tote bag that I purchased. I've got these coupon cards from Pier 1 Imports. They just came in a little catalog. They've got a great shape and color to them, but they've got words that I don't want to show, so we'll have to find some creative way to deal with these. And then there's another piece from that same catalog that I actually cut out of a page. It says Trunk Show, which I probably don't need those words, but I like the shape and the cover of that bracketed piece, so we'll find a way to use that. I've got this little handbook or manual that came with an Amazon Kindle. And I love the accordion shape of it and the thickness of it, the craft paper, and I love these letters here. Don't necessarily love the fact that it says Amazon Kindle, but I've got some ideas for that. This is a gift bag, and this is the box of this Amazon Kindle. I want to use this because this is really interesting. This is stuff that is right on with our technology right now, but will be very out of date not too long from now. So I want to save that and use that. And then store catalogs. I like to use a lot of the words and images from store catalogs. So let's find ways to use this. One of the most effective things you can do is to mix your everyday stuff right in with your scrapbooking stuff the same way that you organize your scrapbooking stuff. So for example, if you organize by color and you get a green piece of packaging you want to keep and eventually use, just organize it right in with your green stuff. I organize mostly by function, whatever it is that the item does for me. I keep them together that way. And so I organize my everyday stuff that way also. This is my words, date, and numbers box. And so I've got things in here like word strip stickers. I've got my date stamps in here. And then I also have my everyday stuff that has words on it that I want to use. So this is a packaging from a clothing store called Love Culture. And I really like that phrase to describe the environment of our family. And so I'm going to use the words Love Culture on a layout. So I'm putting that right in here with my words. For tags, I've got this bucket and I've got tags that have been made by scrapbooking and craft companies, but I've also got clothing tags in here. And they're all right there together because they're the same thing. They're just made by different companies for different purposes. These are my transparencies. I've got transparencies by a scrapbooking company, and then I've got things like gift bags. Here's one, here's another gift bag. And that way, all of my options, whether they're made by a scrapbooking supply or a completely different type of company, all of my options are together in one place. Here's an example of how I've already used that Love Culture packaging. I cut a strip of it out because it says Love Culture over and over again all the way across, and I used it as a border, and then I just cut one phrase where it just says Love Culture once out and made it my title here. I took that lotus flower tag and I thought of that as an embellishment rather than just a tag because it's such a beautifully designed tag. It's really dimensional. To me, that's an embellishment. And so I would file that or organize that in with my big box of embellishments. And that makes it an obvious choice for a really nice focal point embellishment for this gathering right here. Here's that Amazon Kindle book, and I'm going to use it as an accordion book that will come out from the back of this mini book page. So I need to work with it a little bit. I'm going to take a flower and a glue dot and hide those words Amazon Kindle. and also make it look really beautiful at the same time. So once I can get that glue dot up, there we go. Now I'm just centering that right there in the center. And then I can take some words here. It says book bonding, which is the title of this little accordion or this section of my mini book. And I will center it right over the words that I've already forgotten what it said, actually. And let me take those off. And there's a little space in there, and you can see a little S. That's okay. It's not something anybody's going to notice, or if you notice it, you won't even care. So now I've got this really pretty designed book. I'm using the letters here. And you can see if I open it up, I've already started covering the inside pages of it. And I'm going to use these words because in my case, they actually work with my story. They say getting started, getting around, getting connected, because this is about how my son and I started bonding more by sharing books together, buying and reading a book. So I'm going to use those words and make them work into my story, adding some pictures in here. And I've already added some paper to this, and we're just going to take some photo tape here. Add it in like this. I had cut this strip and then just folded it in, added more tape, put it onto the page, and then folded this around. And now I'm adding more tape, and now I'm folding this over onto this. And then the next thing I'll do is take this piece, add it on. You can see I've got, oh, I didn't put tape on there. So the next thing I'm going to do is add this piece right here, tape it here, fold it into place like that, and just continue taping until we get all the way through the book. And I'll continue to use these letters here as part of the design. Here's that Pier 1 Imports tag, and I love the shape of it. I love the colors with that dotted outline. What I don't like are the words inside of it. And so we're going to cover those up. And one way that you can do that is to take word strip stickers that actually apply to what you're doing and cover them up. And you can see it's not completely covered, and that's okay. I'm actually going to cover up much of this too. And in fact, my word strips don't completely even make sense. They don't flow 100% right. They don't even really have to apply in this case because we're going to cover these up too so that they'll just be a hint. But the important thing is that these are more applicable. They say things like I live, and you can just tell when you see them that they're more applicable to a scrapbooking page than something like Save 20% or Pier 1 Imports is. All right, so now I've got this nice design. I'm putting my flower over it, and I'm going to put this button because that flower is quite old and it needs something to update it. And now I've got this great embellishment or tag that I could use for maybe my daughter's dance album. Here's another one of these shapes, but in this case, it was from a page inside of a catalog. And again, I like the shape and I like the color, but I don't like the words, and obviously I don't want that to show. So I'm going to be cutting around that to cut it away, so I've got only the shape that I want. And then to deal with the trunk show part, those words, I'm just going to take a piece of scratch paper, put it over there, and then I will outline around the outside of the words here, just like that. So I'm making a rectangle, so I know that I need a shape that is approximately this size and this shape. Some kind of an embellishment. Again, it could be sticker strips, it could be one sticker, something that is about that size. And now I can go looking through my stuff for something to cover this. So I maintain the outside of this shape and the red of it, but something else pretty will go on the inside. Here's that gift bag piece. It's the front of the gift bag, and I've also cut the back and throw the sides away. And look how beautiful this is when you just slide something in. It's such a gorgeous transparency. And so obviously I'm going to straighten out the edge. I would want to cover this up unless I'm doing a story about Mary Kay, which I won't. I would probably cover that up with maybe, again, word strips or a photo or something. Probably patterned paper, like a line of patterned paper leading toward these beautiful leaves. So you use it, again, just like you would a regular transparency, and it's gorgeous. And this could be a mini book page, or it could just be a section on my scrapbooking page. What can you use with your magazines and your catalogs? I love the phrases in these, and right here on the cover here's a great one. It could be one or it could be two different ones. Start something, create your own revolution. I love the power of that phrase and the energy of it, and I can see myself using that on a page, maybe to my kids about, I don't know, doing something awesome. Here's another one right here, this little tiny thing. It says life rolls on, and I will be punching that out and putting that on a page about something that maybe was disappointing or something that not so great happened. Here it is again, life rolls on. Here's one that says music saves lives, and maybe a page about music. We could take off the W's and the .org and use this right there. What a cute little logo that is. If we come over to this side of the page, I've got something that says what matters. And maybe this would be for a page about family or values or dinner, family dinner or something like that. What matters, supporting each other. Here's one, a social responsibility. I would take off campaign. And that might be kind of a fun phrase just to add it in the background of a page for something about, I don't know, sharing or being kind to animals or I don't know, something like that. It could be something every day, or it could be something that you find as that's really important to you socially. Here's one that I really like. This is what matters to you matters to us. And that is a message from an advertiser, but that's a great message from a parent to their children. So all these great phrases just in this one little beginning section of this catalog. This layout is an example of how you can use phrases from catalogs and magazines. This is a page about a major series of changes that we made to our lives. And I'm going to put this one down so we can focus on this first page here. I found this phrase in a magazine, a little upside down thinking, and that means out of the box thinking. And I really liked the idea of that. I knew I'd find a reason or way to use it, so I saved it in my words container. Well, eventually when I was ready to do this layout about all these changes we made in that year, it seemed perfect and appropriate because it was a result of some out of the box thinking, some different ways of thinking about our lives. And so I was able to just add that in. It's something that I'd had for a while in my phrase box. Here are a few other things that I've got on this page. This is a tag from the back of a pair of jeans, and I just used the holes to add new colors of threading in there to match what I'm doing here. And there was something on here that I didn't want to be visible, so I just added a scrapbooking supply. So I worked with what I had to make it look how I wanted it for this page. I also used a pair of jeans to make a mat for this page. By using some of your everyday stuff in your scrapbooking, you're saving money, you're using some of the world's best designs from the best designers, you're preventing some things from going into the landfills, and you're taking today's everyday culture and putting it into your scrapbooks, which to me is one of the purposes and one of the coolest things about scrapbooking. Hopefully this episode gave you some ideas of how you can better make your stuff work harder for you. Thank you for joining me today. Until next time, have fun paper clipping.